Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting.
In this episode, Dr. Zamboni, ironing water, and the bad-tasting Easter treat that Lippy quite likes.
Now, Lippy.
Hello.
Hello indeed. We've had a lovely message from a listener.
We have, yes.
And it's one we don't know. Although he has contacted us before about the Sharky's broken tickets. It turns out that he drove a Zamboni machine for 7 years.
Which is awesome.
It is awesome, and I think we should call him Dr. Zamboni.
Dr. Zamboni.
Has to be
I like
doctor.
it. I like it.
Has to be a doctor. So, and he agrees it is a neat machine. And he explains in language I can understand about how it works.
Yes.
So it has a blade that shaves the ice, and then through the excess is augured, which is a bit like a Archimedes screw, I think. So it's a thing that turns. If you see somebody putting fence posts in, sometimes they have this massive great drill on a petrol-driven thing, and that's an auger. So but it's working in reverse. Well, no, I suppose it's not actually. So instead of pulling earth out, it's pulling the ice up. And then this is the bit that surprised me. It then heats the water to 180 degrees Fahrenheit and then lays that down on top of the ice. And I would have thought they would have put frozen water down, but no, they put very hot water down. Somehow
maybe it
bonds
freezes.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something very technical that I don't understand.
Is that why it's always really wet?
Probably, yeah. Yes, it looks wet, doesn't it? And then it freezes over. And he was very interested in our boat trip, as he's going to hire a narrow boat next year. So I put some photos that you had taken on Instagram. And, so there weren't many of the boats. It has to be said, more of activities.
Yes, there was one of myself doing the Titanic.
Yes.
Because who wouldn't do that on a boat? You have to do that on a boat. That's like the law. Well,
it may be the law, but it's the sort of thing you fall in at.
True, yes. Yes, that is true. But I didn't, so it's fine. And then, what was the other, with all the duckies? With
the ducks, yes. Yes, there was quite a lot of ducks, wasn't there? So thank you, Dr. Zamboni. We really appreciate you getting in touch.
We do, yes.
Now, you sent me a photo earlier today of ironing water.
I was so, honestly, when I saw it, I was like, that must be the stupidest thing. And then you explained it and now it does make sense. But when I first saw it, I was like, how are they getting away with selling water that you put in an iron? Like, you just use your tap, is what was going through my brain.
Yes, but I think the many bottles of mineral water that are drunk in houses prove that you can sell water in all sorts of guises.
Very true, very true. But I'm an avid tap water drinker.
Yes, you are, yes. But certain members of our family won't touch it for some unknown reason. Yeah, so years ago, that would have been known as distilled water. And I think it was more popular because you would have put it in a car battery. So you used to be able to open the cells with a little sort of vent on the top. And then if it was a bit low, you'd top it up with a little bit of distilled water. But nowadays, they all seem to be sealed, so you can't do that. So it's always been a popular thing in garages and petrol stations. The idea is if you put it in your iron and you've got a hard water area, the iron doesn't get clogged up with various bits of debris. And I know we're fairly hard water here, and ours do tend to get a bit clogged up from time to time.
Well, I don't actually own a kettle or an iron.
No, that's very true.
I have a hot water tap and a steamer, which I guess is the same as an iron. It would still get lime scaly.
Possibly. You don't have an iron?
No, I have a steamer, a clothes steamer.
Yes, because so it's still got water in it, which is going through little nozzles, so I suspect so.
Yes.
But possibly your tap is filtered, so may not be as much of an issue. So we had some good news last week on the car front.
Yes.
So Charlotte's 21-year-old now, Shogun, that has done quite a high mileage. It's over 200,000 that she uses for towing her horse box. Spectacularly failed the MOT after the mechanics at her work jet washed all under the arches and removed quite a lot of undersill that was holding rust on, basically.
Oh, God.
Yes, so it looked very clean underneath, but there were a number of holes. And there was an incident at the MOT station where the newly fitted, and I hasten to add not by me, starter motor virtually caught fire, was still engaging. And this was an MOT station that only does MOT. So we managed to push it a little bit further down the industrial unit to my mate's garage. So, but he's absolutely racked full of jobs. There's everywhere just seems to be so busy. So it was a while before he looked at it, and then he MOT'd it, and then he said, "Oh, yeah, there's quite a lot of rust." But a company local to us, who American Auto Finishers, did a fantastic job while we were on the boat, and in 4 days had virtually rebuilt the whole car. I think once they started prodding at it, the holes got bigger and bigger, but they stuck to the quote, which was incredibly good of them.
Yes.
And got it back, and then back down for a couple of ball joints and a few other bits and pieces, and it's finally passed after about 6 weeks.
Start the fun again next year.
No, that's a good few years, I think. So I'm planning on getting under there with a wire brush and some product called Lanogard, which is some sort of sheep grease or something to do with sheep. That's supposed to keep rust at bay, so that should stop anything else going. And then my Volvo estate went in, and I was a little bit worried that we're going to have a repeat of that. But no, that sailed through. So that was all good. But it was
that was lucky. Mine sailed through as well, but mine is a lot younger than both of yours combined.
It is, but yours is still 11 years old, and it does drive like new. It is. I hate to say it for an Audi. It's quite impressive.
Spectacular.
It is. And talking of high mileage things, we were watching The Night Manager for probably the second time. And there's a scene in the first episode where there's a very old Mercedes-Benz taxi driving out of Cairo. And I said, I wonder what the highest mileage is on a Mercedes-Benz taxi. And would you like to hazard a guess?
Oh, 500,000 miles?
No.
Too high?
It's nowhere near high enough.
Oh, okay. 1 million miles?
You're getting warmer.
Still not high enough?
Nope.
Oh, 1.5 million miles.
Getting warmer.
2 million miles?
You're getting very warm now.
I actually am in shock. That's ridiculous.
2.8 million miles.
So almost 3 million miles.
Almost 3 million miles. The guy who's driving it claims that it's had 3 engines.
So does that count as the same car?
Well, that's interesting. For those fans of Only Fools and Horses, there's a scene known as Trigger's Broom, where Trigger comes into the pub and says, "I've had the same broom for 15 years at the council. Mind you, it's had 10 heads and 3 handles."
So it's not the same broom.
It's not the same broom. And this is quite an important thing in restoration of all sorts of things, not only cars, but boats and all sorts. Is how much can you change and it still be original? I mean, Minis, for example, you can buy a Mark I Heritage shell, and it's then a relatively straightforward job to change the bits over or replace them. You could end up with a completely brand new car, and it's not the original in the slightest. So it's always an interesting question.
Interesting.
But, that was a stellar mileage, I have to say. Talking of Audis, not the shop car.
Yes, both are amazing.
But, well...
Struggle to speak then? Well,
yeah, pretty much. Well, just having to say that an Audi was amazing. I came across an article about an Audi owner and their new car, and the car's got buttons on it, which is kind of unusual today. They tend to put them all on some sort of flat screen. Cheaper, and it's much easier to upgrade them. But some functionality does end up on buttons, and particularly on the more expensive models. Anyway, this gentleman bought a what is it? It's an Audi Q4 e-tron. Ooh. And there's a button marked Sync on it. SYNC, not SINK.
Okay, yeah.
He pressed the button, and this is in Denmark, pressed the button, And on the display unit, up popped a message saying, "This function has not been purchased." Which is a little rude.
What do you mean? I've just spent stupid amounts of money on a brand new Audi. What do you mean it's not been purchased?
Well, apparently the thing is that that model in the UK and the US has what's called tri-zone climate control, but that's not an option it's an option in Denmark. So whilst it's standard in the UK and US,
it's an additional.
Yeah, and he decided not to buy it. But that then sort of brought up the issue, well, actually, is that function there and just turned off in software?
Oh, so if you could hack it.
Exactly. Going back many, many years, the first sort of Windows Server, which was Windows Server NT, came in server and desktop versions. And there was a rumour going round that you could switch it from desktop to server with just one setting in the registry, which I've never proved. And I wonder if it's a bit like this, that somewhere or other there's a software switch that would turn it on, which would be interesting. Because you look at some of these things that allow you to interrogate the car, there's some of them will do all sorts of things, and you can turn bits off and turn bits on and do all sorts. So who knows? Maybe that's up for a bit of hacking.
Yeah.
So you've started a new job.
Yes.
How's week? Well, we're in week 2, aren't we?
Week 2, yes.
How is it all going?
It's quite easy, to be honest. It's only week 2, so obviously my workload isn't very high at the moment. And yeah, I'm just kind of ticking along. My manager's on holiday this week because she's got kids, so I've got a set list of holidays. Yeah, I've got tasks that I was allocated last week, and I've pretty much done them all. But that's okay because Friday's bank holiday, so I do have less days to do them.
Yes, it is a 4-day week.
Yeah, so Monday at home was a bit, I didn't really know what to do with myself. Today was better because I was in the office, so I had a lot of office stuff to do. Tomorrow I'm in the same office, so I might get a bit bored. But then Thursday I'm up in London, so I've got lots of London stuff to sort out, which will be good.
Excellent. That's good. I normally find with these, it tends to go from not sure what you're doing, sort of kicking your heels a bit, to all of a sudden your day is just running away with you.
Yeah.
So I think probably just enjoy the calm before the storm.
Definitely. Yeah, but we, the company rent the spaces, Regis spaces, they're like one in the same. So I've made friends with all of those booking people because I book meeting rooms all the time. So I've made friends with them to the point where I met a new one today and they went, "Oh, you must be Laura." I was like, yes, I am.
It was a little bit of a worry.
Yeah, just a bit, especially as it was the London office and I've only been there once. And I was calling from the Reading office and I was like,
Good. Well, we were talking about this with a colleague of mine about the fact that we've moved into much bigger offices during 2020, it was. And our old office was bursting at the seams with about 50 people in it. So this new one is 75, 80 people. And he says, I don't think we've had more than 15 in. So how long they're going to keep that, I don't know.
I can't imagine very long.
No, and actually moving to something a bit more flexible is probably the right way to do it.
Yeah, something with a few more options where the spaces is really good because you can, so if you've got your set space, but say you knew that actually an extra 5 people were coming in one day specifically for like a meeting and they wouldn't normally come in, you can just hire a space for 5 people for one day. That's
brilliant. That is so good.
And they can basically make it next door on the same floor as your other two or your other meeting spaces. So it works really well for that side of thing. And they've obviously got loads of casual seating downstairs as well with little booths and stuff where you can take phone calls in and little cafe. Honestly, I feel like a proper corporate person now.
It has to be the way forward now.
Yeah. We've been looking at a system of booking your desk in. So you don't have a set desk, or you have a set desk, but you have like a buddy system with your set desk. Yeah. So that if one of you's in, the other one can't be. So it's about booking in alternate days so that we maximise the space we've got.
Actually, it's interesting to see the number of little apps that have sprung up over the last couple of years for exactly this sort of thing.
Yeah, there definitely is an app that can do it, but I feel like I'm going to have to just do it to start with and then see how we go.
Definitely go for the app. It won't be expensive, and it just means you haven't got to worry about it.
Yeah, true. We'll see.
Last week we were talking about putting flyers on cars in car parks. I think we deviated off topic somewhat.
Oh, always.
Well, yeah, what a surprise. Ironically, I came across an article in the Birmingham Mail. So I don't know how much of a clicky-baity thing it was, but it was talking about that if you were in a car park asking for change, you could be breaking the Vagrancy Act of 1824, which comes with £1,000 fine.
How weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be suggested as begging, which is very strange.
Interesting, yeah.
Well, you see a lot of them, and they tend to be in this particular publisher's range of papers, and it's always could.
I see, okay.
You could be breaking all motorists could be breaking the law, and then it's such a ridiculous item. And the problem is with these things, they're so full of adverts. This is turning into a rant now. The page takes ages to load, and as you get to the interesting bit, you get a pop-up over the top. So I do tend to avoid them. But,
then you have to subscribe, pay money.
Well, you don't have to, but you do have to endure a whole load of adverts, which is, I guess, how they pay their bills. I
watched somebody get a parking fine today from my desk window.
Oh.
Yes,
Wasn't
lovely.
you, was it?
It wasn't me, and also I don't really understand why they got a fine. Maybe their ticket had run out. But they were in the lines, and then they appeared a few minutes later, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
watched it unravel.
I think there's a bit of pedantry about whether it's a fine or just a charge, because I don't think, if it's a private company, I don't think they can fine you.
No, it's the street parking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, there'll be a council, will be a fine then. Now, in one of my many trawlings around the internet, I found 45 vet clinic signs that will make you smile. They weren't wrong. I tell you, they were not wrong. So this is in Carroll County in the United States, and they have a big notice board where they can, a little bit like a Letraset system on the outside, where they can put a message. And they've come up with some corkers. There's no two ways about it. It's a good bit of promotion as well. So a couple of my favourites, I won't read them all out. My dog will eat anything until you put a pill in it, then he's Gordon Ramsay. And that is true of cats as well.
Yeah,
and
I've seen those.
Most animals, that they can just detect when there's something that's good for them, that's going to make them feel better. But
even if it's wrapped up in their favourite cheesy meat, bologna, they'll eat around it, lick this stuff off.
Yeah, this one is very true. If you lose a sock in the dryer, or just about anywhere, it returns as a Tupperware lid that doesn't fit any containers. That is so true. We have got so many lids and so few containers.
Yeah.
And I just don't know where they've gone.
That's actually not a problem in my household.
Is that because we've got all your lids?
No, all my containers have lids and all my lids have containers. But that's because we haven't got lots of Tupperware and we don't use that much yet.
Right. We use it quite a bit in the freezer. We have more lids than we have the containers, and I don't know why. I don't know how that's happened. It's the same as the socks disappearing.
It's magic. Chris has started folding his socks together before they go in the wash so that I don't lose his socks.
That's a very good idea.
I mean, it is. But also, I don't feel like they're getting washed properly if they're folded together.
No, I feel that. Or dry properly. They could be a bit...
Oh, no, I unfold them to hang them. But they hang next to each other, so that's fine.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Well, it's just a little...
And surely if you can lose one sock, you can lose a pair.
Well, if you lost the pair, then you probably didn't even know you had it.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. This one you're like, if you love someone, let them nap.
Yes. I do like a nap.
And this is the last one, and I like this one because it's weird. If a black cat crosses your path, he probably has some important cat stuff to do. So none of this good luck, bad luck.
There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong. He's just going about his cat business.
Yes, I like that one.
Now, you may remember last year, I think it was, although my grasp of how long things happen to go is pretty slim, to be honest. We had a couple of Boeing 747s land at Dunswell Park.
Yes.
And they're being used as various film sets and what have you. Well, apparently somebody bought one for the princely sum of £1. And yes.
For £1? Sorry, I forget that this is a podcast. I made a face.
There was a face. £1 for a Boeing 747 for British Airways. That was in an auction. I don't remember seeing it on eBay because that's the sort of stupid thing I do.
You. Yes.
There has been quite a cost in securing a concrete pad at the airport, which is the Cotswold Airport, obviously in the UK. So substantial cost for that and for things like electric hookups and what have you. So they reckon they spent about £500,000 on this transformation, but it is now a party jet.
Fun.
And it is brilliant. It just looks so good in there as well. And it would be a massive amount of space. Apparently they're applying for a wedding license, so you might be able to hire it.
That would be
for
cool.
a wedding if you have enough money. They're doing typical TV show recordings in there and all sorts. The only problem they've had is trying to get the toilets working. Now, obviously, the toilet on a plane is very different to a toilet you'd have on the ground.
Yes.
In fact, I don't know whether they work on the ground, so they tend to work by vacuum. So at the moment, they've got some very posh loos on the ground underneath, so you have to go out the plane, use the loos, and then come back again. But
That's all right, though. It's not like it's a million miles away.
it's not a million miles away. But it is interesting how you can spend £1 on something enormous, and then it just costs an absolute fortune to get the thing usable again. But I guess they've got a business plan, and it's going to work.
I would go and party on a plane.
Absolutely. I might get round this week to adding the missing website pages, and if I do, I'll put a link up for that. Yeah. I was going to do it at the weekend, and I got sidetracked into doing.
Well, you've got an extra 2 days this weekend that are
yes,
full.
But they're full. Yes, of course. This will be going out on Good Friday.
It shall.
Happy Easter, or
Is it the rise or the death of Jesus? I always forget which one it is.
Well, he died on Good Friday and rose again on Easter Sunday, I believe.
Yes,
but it's a long while since I've read any of that. I think that's the way round.
And how did your Lent go? Did you give anything up?
I gave up not being polite to people.
Nice.
Which seemed to work quite well. So Good Friday, if you're listening to this and you have children under 11 in the Cranley area, then the Cranley Lions have an Easter egg hunt, which we'll all be present at, doing various sorts of jobs. For some unknown reason, Wife of Grumpy has been allocated a radio, which I think is a very, very bad idea.
Oh, God, that is a bad idea.
It really is a bad
almost
idea.
as bad as the idea of allocating me a bucket of chocolate eggs.
Yes, well, there is a limit on how much you can eat, I guess. But
no.
There's no limit to the amount of radio, inetiquettes. That's the word I'm going to make up. Inetiquettes.
There's going to be a fair few over and outs, I'm sure.
There always are when the Lions are concerned, which is quite frustrating. I normally don't have a radio, to be honest, because normally I'm in some sort of commentary box, and the last thing you want when you're trying to form a coherent sentence is somebody blathering about the toilets have caught fire.
Yes.
Which has happened.
Have they?
Yeah, we had a fire in the toilets once, which is to do with a generator. And a story for another time is when somebody died and then was resuscitated.
Oh my God, dramatic.
We had the air ambulance land in the arena. It was all very, very exciting when you look back on it, but at the time...
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah.
But the man concerned comes back every year to the car show. Incredible, just it wasn't his time.
Do you know what? I'm going to see if I can swap jobs with Mrs. Grumpy. She's got a well better one than me. She's a checkpoint marshal. Fun, like that. With a bucket of eggs.
Quite fun.
And a radio.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Wife of Grumpy is very good at selling raffle tickets.
Exactly, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So maybe we should do a little switcheroo. I'm much better at counting children, making sure they don't get lost.
No, you haven't got to count them. All you got to do is offer them some chocolate and
try not to die when they come running towards you.
Yes, we'll hide behind the post. I think where you are, or where Wife of Grumpy should be, it's fairly obvious. It's a short distance and then on to where the plastic eggs are hidden.
I'm swapping with her, 100%. She's very good at raffle sales because she harasses people.
Yes, she is very good. Yes, very good indeed. So, talking of Easter treats...
Yes.
Apparently Sainsbury's have produced something that has been described in the Manchester Evening News, again, another one of these websites with lots of pop-ups and what have you, as being vile.
I would highly disagree.
Well, have you had this?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So carrots and chocolate flavoured hummus.
Not that I wouldn't go for the carrots. I didn't have it with carrots.
But it's...
Is it carrot and it's carrots dipped in chocolate flavoured hummus?
The product comes with carrot batons and a dip made from chickpeas, golden syrup, sesame seed paste, cocoa powder, concentrated lemon juice. Which, as Davros would say, just because you could doesn't mean to say you should.
It's quite nice. I have a weird craving of like salty chocolate. So when I was skiing, I used to get a Twix bar, packet of ready salted crisps, put the Twix in there and shake it about.
That is a bit weird.
And then the chocolate would get all salty. It was really good. So just like normal salted tortillas in the chocolate hummus. Oh.
But you've got a really odd mix of things there. Chickpeas, golden syrup, sesame seeds, chocolate powder, lemon juice. There's nothing really sweet in there. But, apart from the syrup, of course.
It's good.
Well, what can I say?
I don't know how to explain it, but it's not for everyone's taste. That is for certain. But I quite like it.
It's a bit like the peanut butter and Marmite.
Whoop.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
No, I will purchase some.
Please do.
For us to try over the Easter weekend. It's vegan, so you can't say no.
It is. It is. But as I said to the lady in the local cafe, I'm not quite vegan.
Not quite vegan.
Well, Manchester Evening News will report back next week.
Yes.
Now, I've got a couple of pet peeves I want to get off my chest.
Oh, go on then.
And I was in a lot of meetings last week on Zoom, which I don't particularly like. I prefer ones when you're in a room together. But
that would involve going into the office, though.
It would, but the team of people I'm working with, some of them are located in Cheltenham. So it's unless we all get together, travel distance, it's not going to happen. So one of my pet peeves is the use of the phrase "end of." It makes me great. So somebody says something, this is something, end of. So end of discussion. I just find
I don't like that.
Incredibly arrogant.
Very rude.
I think it's very rude. And I've heard it a lot at this company, and I just don't like it. I just think it's... And particularly when you have that conversation and then 2 months later you ask somebody, oh, how's it going? Oh, no, we're doing it this way now. Well, that's what I suggested when you told me end of. So,
yeah.
I think an apology's in order.
Yeah, there's definitely a much politer way of going about that. Just saying, we're going to give it a go this way. That's a lot nicer than end of.
Yeah, we go, yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a horrible
That's
thing.
a very Mr. Big Man, I'm showing off. I'm in charge. I make the last decision. Vibe.
Sometimes. No, not always, to be honest. I mean, it was used last week by somebody I would not describe as... He's very, very sure about the area he knows. And he's definitely a subject matter expert. So in that respect, he was right, almost certainly right. However, I don't think that's the best way to put it, because it puts my hackles up. Anyway, the second thing, because there's two.
Yeah, obviously. Just two?
Obviously two.
Just two for today.
Two for today are wonky number plates on cars.
How do they even get wonky?
Well, I didn't understand. And they're on new cars as well. So you spend, a new car is not cheap. I mean, let's say
you're looking like 20 starting price.
More than that. But this is on expensive. On Teslas, I see it a lot on Teslas. And that's a shed load of cash for one of those. And the back number plate is wonky.
Maybe there's a sensor there that they can't put the number plate over.
No, because some of them are straight.
Oh, okay.
So some of them are
a continuity issue.
It's taking care. And if I bought a brand new car and I went round it and there was a wonky number plate, I would not be signing it. I just no, you fix that. I'm not doing that. I had to reposition, or I had to fix something on Charlotte's Shogun.
Yeah.
That involved taking the number plate housing off, and the yellow caps that go over the screws had popped off, and the screws had. And that was slightly on the wonk. So having ground out these screws, because the heads are just completely gone, I then did use a tape measure to get it perfectly in the middle of the surround. I was quite pleased with myself.
Yeah, well done. Good
yes,
job.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought it was a good job. Anyway, I'll stop complaining now.
Okay.
For a little bit. Now, we did a piece a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, about fish in a tank, where they could manoeuvre the tank through
Yes.
Sort of a landscape. So, well, apparently there's been another study to do with fish. And I can't remember where I heard it. I heard it on television during the week. I think it was Have I Got News for You? And apparently scientists have come up with the theory that fish can count. And it is and you think, wow, that's quite amazing. If you take it at face value, it is. But actually, when you delve into the depths of it, it's not quite as fantastic as you think it might be.
Also, fish can count is a very broad statement. I'm not sure a goldfish can count because a goldfish can't remember anything.
Allegedly, but we don't really know, do we? But then what has it got to remember?
True.
What side Bosch is on, for example.
Why does it need to count?
Well, they don't need to count, do they? But they set up this experiment, and not dissimilar to the moving one, where they have some images and they basically an image with so many dots on it, and then they take one away, and then does it swim this way or does it swim that way? It seems very contrived to me and a complete and utter waste of money. If you search for it, there's Fish Can Calculate. So it was at the university. Hang on a minute. University of Bonn, April the 1st, 2022.
You've been April Fooled.
Well, more to the point, so Have I Got News for You? If that's true.
You should message in and say, do you realise what day that was released? That's hilarious. Do you think they know they got April Fooled and they were just passing it along? Or?
Do scientists do April Fools?
Yes.
Let's just
Depends what kind of scientist, actually.
Well, these are fish scientists.
Yeah, I feel like marine biologists are quite fun. Never met one, but I feel like they're fun. They like sharks and stuff, don't they?
Yes. Well, they all seem to have come out on April the 1st, it's the fish site.
The fish
site. They seem to be taking it very seriously. I think they've just poured an absolute corker.
Yeah.
I don't know how to send a message to Have I Got News for You?
It's Channel 4?
No, it's BBC.
BBC. Yeah, just message the BBC. Tweet them.
Message.
Tweet them.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. I should do that afterwards.
Yes. Let us know how it goes.
So, have you got a Lippy top tip, Lippy?
I do. It's not really from me. One of my friends told me about it. And I did actually think it was a really good idea because a lot of my friends have kids. And obviously Easter weekend, lots of children activity based, lots of Easter egg hunts, lots of chocolate being gathered by the children. And my friend said to me that what they do is they buy backup chocolate.
Very good.
So they buy extra Easter eggs, the little mini ones, loads of those, because she said what normally happens is obviously they don't let the kids eat it all in one go because that would just ruin their whole weekend with hyperactive, sugar-crazed children.
Yeah.
So they have their own basket each, and then they're allowed to pick stuff out of their basket. But once the children go to bed, the basket then looks very appealing.
Oh no!
So to prevent eating the children's, or in case something in the children's box looks better, they have backup chocolate to replace. So my top tip would be buy some backup chocolate for your children so you don't eat theirs.
I've got a feeling you did that top tip this time last year.
Oh my God, me too. I just had a flashback.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. But anyway, it's a good top tip. It's still valid. So, yes.
And my friend still does it. She tells me every year, obviously.
Indeed. Well, your friend is obviously still eating chocolate, so...
And still her children's chocolate. Just something about it. It tastes nicer, apparently.
Now, over the last couple of months, we've done a few pieces on the Olympics and some odd stuff going on. Well, I have got a disastrous list of incidents that happened in the 1904 Olympic marathon.
Love it.
So, marathon, 26 miles. How many water stations do you think they had?
26.
None.
Stop.
None.
I was like, I'm going to go over the top with this. I reckon they would have gone too many and done one a mile.
None. They accidentally gave North American competitor Tom Hicks a cocktail made of egg whites, brandy, and rat poison.
How?
Well, it's purely simply incompetence. They had a guy come into the race late wearing a beret, cut off slacks, sneak into an apple orchard during the race because no food had been given to him for 40 hours. He ate rotten apples. He projectile vomited onto the track, fell asleep for hours, and still finished in 4th place.
Impressive.
They conducted the race on a dusty road, which caused so much dust to be kicked into the air that an American runner somehow inhaled enough to tear his stomach lining open.
Oh my God.
They accidentally released feral dogs onto the track.
How?
Well, who knows? I mean, who knows? So the other competitors were so bad in terms of succumbing to no water and dust and all the rest of it, that Tom Hicks, do you remember the guy that ate the rat poison and was hallucinating for the entire run, came first?
Because he had no idea what was going on. He was just having a great time.
I'm just going to carry on going.
Probably chasing a bottle of water.
Yeah. Please don't take this as useful advice if you're running a marathon anytime soon. Rat poison is not good for you, and not drinking is certainly not good for you.
Definitely not.
Rotten apples, the best made into cider.
Oh, yeah. But not whilst you're running the marathon.
No, definitely not. No. Oh, talking of which, I see Caleb from Clarkson's Farm has released his own cider. So quite keen to try. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Bye.